Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of our hands-on machine learning with Scikit-learn, TensorFlow and Keras book series. In the first episode, we covered some topics and now we will complete the remaining theory part. Let's get started. What is the main challenges of machine learning? The main challenges of machine learning are insufficient quantity of training data, non-representative training data, poor quality data, irrelevant features, overfitting and underfitting. Now let's talk about insufficient quantity of training data. Think like that. So when we are toddlers, our parents teach us how to recognize an apple. Okay. So initially they might show us several red round object and say this is an apple. So at first we might think every red round thing is an apple. So even a red ball, we in the starting we think it's an apple, but as they show us more example, different types, sizes, different sets. So we start understanding what an apple truly is. Okay, okay. Similarly, machine learning, a model needs plenty of diverse and representative example to learn accurately. So if we don't provide enough training data or if the data is too narrow, the model might make incorrect prediction. So this is why a sufficient quantity and variety of data are crucial for training training machine learning model to perform well in real world scenario. So as we saw in also in this graph, when we give enough data, so even simple machine learning model solve a complex problem. So just like we saying naive Bayes give a good accuracy, just like a perceptron model. And it's also published in 2001. So just like uh, you are teaching a dog to fetch a ball. So so if you only throw one ball once, so the dog won't learn. However, if you throw the ball 100 times, mean you gives a lot of data. So mean is the simplest training method work just fine and the dog becomes an expert fetcher. Okay, so but there is a twist, we can say. So getting extra training data is not always easy to affordable. O- and like trying to find enough open space to practice with the dog. So for a small or medium data set, you still need smarter techniques to make the best use of what you have. So what is non-representative training data? So suppose you are building a weather predictor for a country, but you only collect data from one sunny city. Like in India, we are collecting data from one city like Mumbai. Okay, so your model might predict sunshine everywhere and ignoring places with frequent rain or snow, leading to unreliable for forecasting. So the main just like you can say, the training data should represent the problem space. Okay, if the data set is biased or unbalanced, the model will perform poorly on the real world scenario. Look at the real example from history. In 1936, a magazine tried to predict who would win the US presidential election. they sent they sent out 10 million people. Okay, they sent out mails about to 10 million people and got 2.4 million answers. So based on this, they confidently predict that London would win, but they were very wrong. Roosevelt won with the 62% of the vote. So what is the main problem? So the survey only reached people whose name in the phone directories, magazine subscription, club memberships, and other lists that tended to include wealthier people. Wealthier people were more likely to support Landon. So the sample did not represent the entire population. And plus one, only a small portion of the people they surveyed respond. Okay, mean they sending 10 million people and only 2.4 million people respond. So which further biased their result. Just like, so imagine you are trying to predict who will win a school election. So to do this, you ask 100 students who they are voting for. So but you are you are only ask student from the school's cricket club. Okay, so most of them vote for candidate A. So you think candidate A will win, but on election day, candidate B wins by the landslide. So what went wrong? You only asked a small group of students who are not representative of the whole school. So this is sampling bias. Now let's talk about poor quality data. So a simple mean the poor quality data. So when data contains error, missing value or inconsistency, so the model learns incorrectly and the resulting in bad prediction. Okay, this is the irrelevant feature. So imagine you are building a machine learning model to predict house price. Okay, so if your dataset includes the number of bedroom, locations, square footage, those are likely relevant feature. But if your dataset also includes irrelevant detail like the homeowner's favorite movie or the color of the front wall, so these feature won't help the model and might even confuse it. So these types of features called irrelevant features. And the process of finding the right information is called feature engineering. Okay, and feature selection, selecting the most useful feature of train on among existing features. So so you look all the information and you haven't picked out only the most important part, like you need only location, square footage, bedrooms, number of bedrooms. Okay, these are the most important features. And what is extraction? So combining existing feature to produce a more useful. So like calculating the price per square foot or adding data about nearby school, so you can create a new feature. Now that we have looked at many examples of bad data, now let's look at couple of examples of bad algorithm. Okay, so what is overfitting? So imagine you are visiting a new country. Okay, and unfortunately the driver overcharges you, and that's why you think all taxi driver in this country are cheats, but that's not true. So it's just one bad experience and you are overgeneralizing. Okay, So similarly, in a machine learning model, a model can fall into this trap of overgeneralizing based on the training data. A- And this type of problem is called overfitting. In simple way, we can say, so when our model give good result with training data, but fail to with when it's come to a real scenario, when test data, that time it's called overfitting. I give you one more example, like so you are trying to build a model to predict how happy people are in different countries. Okay, so based on various features like income, healthcare quality, and education. So, but you accidentally include some irrelevant information like the country's name. Okay, so a complex model might notice a weird coincidence, countries with a W in their name. Okay, like New Zealand, Sweden, and Norway. Okay. So all have high happiness score. So it might create a rule. If the country name has a W, happiness is a greater than other countries. Okay, so that's that make so does that rule make sense? So of course not. It's just a coincidence in the training data. So if you tested the model of on Zimbabwe, it won't be work because the pattern does not generalize to real world scenario. So this is why overfitting is a problem. So the model perform really well on the training data, okay, but fails in real life situation. So it's like memorizing all the answer for one test but not actually understanding the subject. So you fail the next test that had slightly different question. Okay, now we are talking about underfitting. Okay, so what is underfitting? So don't think underfitting is the opposite of overfitting. Okay, so when it's a simple, when the model neither perform well with training data and nor perform well with real life situation. That's time our model is underfitted. Okay, so like think like so you are teaching a toddler to identify different types of fruit, and you decide to use only black and white drawing of fruits. So the toddler might struggle because fruit in real life have so much more detail, like color, texture, and even smell. So the problem here is that your teaching method is too simple for the task, and the toddler can't grasp what make a banana different from an apple. So how we can fix this problem? So selecting a more powerful model with more parameter, feeding better feature to learn algorithm, reducing the constant on the model, reduce like reducing the regularization hyperparameter. Okay, talk about testing and validating. So think like imagine you are budding preparing for the biggest match of your life. Okay, so every day you practice tirelessly in the nets and you set up everything perfectly. So your favorite pitch, familiar bowler, and even the same type of balls. Over time, your batting become flawless. You are hitting boundaries with ease and you feel unstoppable. But what happens when it's match day. Okay, everything is different. The pitch behave unpredictable. The bowlers have unique styles, and the pressure of live audience feels overwhelming. So suddenly your confidence takes a hit, and you keep missing deliveries, mismatch shots, and struggling to adjust. So why? Because you were so focused on perfectly skill for net practice that you forgot the real test was out on the field. Okay, that's like overfitting problem. So what you did? So instead of practice only in the net, you mix thing up. So some days you practice on a bouncing pitch, and other days you on a spinning wicket. You face bowler with different style techniques, left arm pacers, off spinners, and leg spinners. So you even practice under varying weather condition. Like so, by exposing yourself to all this type of scenario, so you are preparing for the unexpected. So in the data science, we follow a similar strategy. The training set is like your net practice. It's where your model learn basic spot patterns and build confidence. And the test set is like the real match. Okay. So it's completely new scenario where you evaluate how well your model perform under unfamiliar condition. So in your model perform well in training but struggle on the test set. So it's a clear sign of overfitting. So to avoid this, you always keep a portion of your data, you usually 20% around untouched for testing, just like practicing on different pitches. Prepare you for any match. Testing your model on new data ensure it's ready for real world challenge.
So hyperparameter tuning and model selection. Hyperparameter tuning and model selection focus on finding the best model and its optimal setting. So, for example, like deciding between a linear or polynomial model and adjusting parameter like regularization strength. So when we evaluating models, we usually test them on a separate data set, but repeatedly using the test set for model selection or hyperparameter tuning can backfire. So why? Because you unknowingly adopt the model to fit the test set, leading to overlay optimistic results that don't hold up in the real world. So what we can do? So to avoid this issue, we use a validation set. Okay, so what we did? So split the training set into two parts: a smaller training set and a validation set, mean test set. Okay, so train multiple models on the smaller training set, tracking hyperparameter, and pick the one that perform best on the validation set. So the retain the best model on the entire training set for final tuning. So test the final model on the untouched test set to estimate real world performance. But what is the trade-off of this? So a small validation set leads to inaccurate evaluation. Okay, so and evolution and suboptimal model selection, and a large validation set reduce the training set size, being model performance since the final model uses the full data set. So what is the solution? So we use a cross validation. Okay, so instead of single validation set, split the data into multiple small validation sets fold, training the model repeatedly across these folds averaging the result for a more reliable estimate. So while this increased training time, but it provides more accurate performance measure for hyperparameter tuning and model selection. And what is a data mismatch mean? So data mismatch occurs when the training data differs significantly from the data that the model will encounter in the production. So this can lead to poor performance in real world application even if the model performance well during training, like overfitting problem. So imagine you are building a flower identification app. So you train your model using millions of flower images download from the web. Okay. However, users will take picture with their mobile phones and these images might differ in lighting, angles or quality. So if you only have 10,000 actual app taken images, okay, so who representative data, so this mismatch could hurt your model performance. So what is the key rule? So the validation and test sets must be as representative as possible of the production data. So use only app taken pictures for these sets, split these images into a validation set and a test set and ensuring no duplication. Okay, so what is the problem of this? So if your model performs poorly on the validation set, so it's unclear whether the model overfit the training data or there a mismatch between the wave images and the taken images. So what is the solution? So hold out a subset of the wave images, okay, as a training data and train the model on the remaining training data. Okay, so evaluate the model on the train depth set, we can say. So if the model does well on the train depth set but poorly on the validation set, so the issue is a data mismatch. To fix it by pre-processing the wave images resemble app taken picture or collecting more representative data. So if the model does poorly on the train depth set, the issue is overfitting. So address this by simplifying the model, regularization, cleaning the training data or adding more data. So, so what is no free lunch theorem? Okay, so a model is a simplified version of the observation. Okay, so the simplification are mean to discard the superfluous detail that are unlikely to generalize to new instances. So however, to decide what data to discard and what data to keep, you must make some assumption. So for example, so okay, a linear model makes the assumption that the data is fundamentally linear and that the distance between the instance and the straight line is just noise, so which can safely be ignored. So in a famous paper 1996, David Ballport demonstrated that if you make absolutely no assumption, okay, so if you make absolutely no assumption about the data, that there is no reason to prefer one model over any other. So this is called no free lunch theorem. For some data set the best model is linear model, while for other data set it is a neural network. So there is no model that is priori guaranteed to work to better. So hence the name of the theorem, like no free lunch theorem. So the only way to know for sure which model is best is to evaluate them all. Since this is not possible in practice, so you make reasonable assumption about the data and evaluate only a few reasonable models. For example, for simply task, you may evaluate linear model with various labels of regularization, and for complex problem, you may evaluate various neural networks. So, in this episode, we have covered chapter 1 theory from hands on machine learning with scikit-learn, TensorFlow, and Keras book. So, in the next episode, we will dive into chapter 1 exercises. If you are enjoying this series, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.